All right. So, and you're using at the moment a combination of two different tools. Is it like Staxio and then Authority Indexer, right?
That's correct, yes. So as we know, your software, brilliant, by the way. I've been doing it manually for the last few years, and it's just increased the output I can do tremendously. So your software is brilliant. But when you mix it with Authority Indexer, it works even better, because I don't like particularly to use just the two sites, Google Sites and Blogger, because I think it leaves a little bit of a footprint. So I've sort of integrated the Google Cloud, the Microsoft Azure, the Amazon S3, which is what the Authority Indexer will build, HTML pages on those very high authority sites. And then obviously I've added Twitter in as well. I have made one mistake, by the way, on my drawing I sent you. You can't embed anything in a Twitter. So on tier 3, where it's showing a Twitter logo, you wouldn't have that there. You'd have one of the other ones, by the way. So anyway, that's just a little point I missed, slight mistake there when I was making this image yesterday. So basically, instead of just using Blogger and Google Sites, which we know they're very powerful, I've also added in the Google Cloud, the Azure, and the Amazon S3 as well. So as you can see from the image, that is my tier 1. Now, what as I said, after playing around a little bit with different types of linking, and because I can build now the Google stack so quickly that it takes me to build this 4-tier system about an hour and a half to 2 hours maximum, and that's when I've got my spun content ready to use to add in, to the actual stacks, and also the cloud sites as well. The good thing about Authority Indexer is you can take a spun article and set it to post the content to the cloud sites, and obviously it spins the article and gives you a unique article on each of the sites, just like your software does as well. So I find using them both together, I'm getting some very, very good results on highly competitive keywords. Now, I know I've looked through some of the videos, some of the guys I've done before, and also I'm getting good results as well. But as I said, I prefer not to use just the Google properties, but to add in the other ones as well. So it's working really well. So basically, I create the first tier 1 using both your software and the Authority Indexer, and then build all the stacks. So yeah, this is the second one. So this is an easy one. So we've got more than one property, but just for this example, I'm just showing one of the lines I would build. So this example, we've got a Google site. I will build a stack on as a tier 2 pointing at the Google site. And then what I do then is using the HTML feature in Staxio, is I will embed the tier 2 stack into the tier 3 site. And I always try and mix them up. So for example, I wouldn't point an Azure site on tier 3 if I already had an Azure site on tier 1. I would mix and match them up. Right. So I embed the Staxio HTML code into the tier 3, and maybe a link from tier 3 down to tier 1. But I don't use keyword rich links. I might add in like a click here for more information. Just try and mix up the actual linkage going down through the sites. And then I will create another stack in tier 4, which is pointing at the URL in tier 3. Now, what I tend to do is I tend to build the first couple of stacks, sorry, the first 2 tiers, I should say, and then see what happens with the keyword on Google. So if it's on the second page and it doesn't manage to push it onto the first page after 2 or 3 weeks, I will then build the tier 3 and tier 4. But if it is a very competitive keyword, like best SEO software, for example, then I would straight away build 4 tiers. I would leave it a few weeks, and then if it doesn't start to shift it, I will blast tier 4 with millions of GSA links to try and power up the tier 4, which in turn will power up 3, 2, and 1, leading down to your money site.
So looking at this build in particular, what I would, so this is me from a perspective of, okay, I have one tool, I have Staxio, and I want to stick to one tool. What I would probably like change a little is, instead of having the Azure cloud, I would have probably Google Cloud, which we can already do from Staxio. So
exactly.
The HTML from tier 2, created from tier 2, right? The HTML file, and then embedded on a site on Google Cloud, and then build a tier 4 stack linking to that link on Google Cloud, on my Google Cloud storage. So yeah, and then you can mix and match, like you said, you can mix and match, right?
Yes, exactly.
You can put, like, instead of the Google sites, you can switch to a Google Cloud storage and have another a Google site on the place of Azure. You know, you can do several combinations, I guess.
Yes, exactly. You can mix and match it up.
I'm gonna go back to, like, this is the really good example, because you have one Google Cloud. So for example, if you look at tier 1, you have several. You might want to, so the amount of combinations you can make with 3, 4, 5, 6 properties is a lot of combinations. If you wanted to, if you thinking of the point of, okay, let me try and do all the combinations possible, that's like hundreds.
Yes,
you could do.
It is. Yeah. But I find, because you've got these, there's 6. If you use the Twitter moments as well, that works really well, because that's a do follow link as well. Right. But if you were just using, forgetting about Twitter at the moment, if you're just using the 5 sites, because each one of those in turn, in its own right, is very, very powerful. You can mix and max. You know, as you said, on tier 3, you can have a Google Cloud go into a Google Cloud, for example, if you wanted to do. But I prefer not to do. I prefer to have a Google, let's, for example, an Azure go into a Google Cloud, an Azure go into a Google site, or an S3 or a Blogger, and mix and match them up that way. I don't like pointing the same site to each other, if you understand what I mean. I just I like to mix them up, basically. Try not to leave a big footprint if I can do. Yeah,
that's the point of the strategy that you're using. I understand. So I have a few questions, if you don't mind. So I can see that all the linkings and how they are like organized in a vertical silo. Each of these, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 vertical silos and 4 different tiers. So for example, when you, so it's easy for me to understand, like, when we're building Google Stacks, like, let's talk about tier 4. When we're building Google Stacks on tier 4, you have a money site URL that you can configure to when you're building a Google Stacks, and it's easy to understand. Like, okay, like on the first one, it's a Google Cloud. Okay, I'm going to link to the Google Cloud, right? Link or page I've created on my bucket. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Now from Google Cloud, I'm going to create another stack and link to that stack. So which place, like, where do you link to on the Google Stack? Is it the Google Sheet? Is it the Google Drive? From the Google Cloud, from tier 3, for example.
Okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Right. So I'm embedding I'm taking the embed code, the HTML code from tier 2 that your software provides, which will have a link to all the different files within the Google Cloud, and I'm embedding that into the page on tier 3.
You're uploading the HTML file to the cloud platform.
Yes.
All right, got it.
So in tier 1 and tier 3, obviously we've got the cloud platforms. In 2 and 4, we've got Google Stacks, which is also what your software creates. So I create the first set with authority indexer. I have to do the Google site, and obviously in my example here, Twitter manually, and then use the authority indexer to create the Google Cloud, the Azure, and the S3, and the Blogger. So I've got 4 there built with the authority indexer. I've now got 5 links I can use to build Google Stacks. So I will build a stack for each of those 5 sites there, which is tier 2. And then I take the HTML code out of the stack. So let's say, for example, on the left-hand side on the Google Sites example, I will take the HTML code out of tier 2 and embed that in the tier 3 site. So we're getting links from, in this example, on the far left-hand side on this image, we've got the Google Cloud in tier 3, which has got the HTML code out of tier 2 embedded into that page there, which, as we know, is a do follow link. So then it will follow all the files from the Google Cloud page, which is linking down to tier 2, hopefully run itself around all the different files, which are all pointing to the Google site in tier 1.
Right.
And then when you get to tier 4, I've got all the files there. You can embed those files from tier 4 into a page somewhere if you want. I don't tend to do that. I tend to just submit all the files out of the stack in tier 4 and try and get those indexed on their own, which are pointing at the Google Cloud on tier 3, which is pointing to the Google stack by the embed in tier 2. And then tier 2 is pointing down to the Google site. And the Google site is obviously pointing to the money side. So that's how it sort of runs down. As I said, if it's a really difficult keyword, then I will go to Fiverr and buy 1 million GSA links to point at the. I tend to use the sheet that your software creates in tier 4 and point all the GSA links at that sheet.
Because then it will flow to all the links on the sheet, which will go into the cloud and then all the other tiers above.
Yeah, it'll just drop down. Think of it as a funnel, basically, a funnel upside down. Pour the water into the top and it flows all the way down through the funnel and ends up at the bottom at the money site. And it works really well. You've got to work out how you're doing it using the authority indexer. Once you've got the URLs, it's quite easy to build out in Staxio. It's quite easy. So we build the tier 1 with authority indexer, grab all the URLs of the pages that have been created, and then use those URLs to build the stacks in tier 2, and then use authority indexer again to build the tier 3 sites, and then take all the HTML code we've already created with Staxio on tier 2 and embed them in the tier 3 sites, and then use Staxio again to build some more stacks to point to the links you've already created on tier 3. Sounds a bit complicated, but once you get it in your head, it's quite easy. And once you've got the article spun, then you just keep refreshing. I use, what's going on now, Spin. I forget which software I use, but I paid $77 a year for a spinner.
Spin Rewriter?
Spin Rewriter, that's it, yes. And you can either use the code that it gives you to add to your software to generate each item. I tend to use Spin Rewriter just to generate one piece of content. And since we had our conversation yesterday where I was having trouble with the software taking so long to build the stacks, I've now cut down the characters to below 5,000 in my article, and I have no problems at all. I built a complete stack this morning. It took me about 90 minutes to build all 4 tiers using the both pieces of software to create all 4 tiers. Anyway, yes, it's really quick. Whereas it would normally take me an hour and a half to 2 hours just to build one stack doing it manually.
Yeah, well, to me, I was taking with the Google sites and the Blogger site, I was taking 4 hours.
Yeah,
with everything and all the details and it was, and So you're using, let me ask you another question. You're using the same article on all these properties, right?
Correct.
A
Yes.
spun version of the Spintax article, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I use a unique article on the money site, obviously, but
Yeah,
I use
of course.
a different article, which I get from elsewhere, which we discussed yesterday, to spin for all tier 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Brilliant. Yeah, because sometimes I see one of the most asked questions I see popping up in the group is, where do you get content? Where do you get your content from? What about content for tier 2? What about tier 3? What about the other tiers, all the properties? This is too much content. Where am I supposed to get this stuff? So, well, now we have the easy way to get content from the news API.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there are free tools and free websites where you can paste the article in and it will give you a Spintax version of the article.
Yeah.
So all for free. You don't have to pay for any tools if you don't want to.
Yeah.
So that's easy.
I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do with the business. If you're trying to build a business, then you have to invest in tools like Staxio, for example. Now, Spin Rewriter, I think, was $77 for the year. Yes, it's $5-6 a month. It's nothing. And the same for Authority Index. I got it when it was launched, so it was slightly cheaper, but even that is only $97 a year to do it. And for it to be able to build the cloud sites out on a nice looking page, and they, like yourself, they're constantly updating the software. I think if you've got $200 or $300 a year to use these tools, trying to do it manually, it just takes forever, and you just don't get anywhere. Whereas using, paid tools like Staxio, for example, it just makes the job so much easier, and it's so productive. You can build. I can build 4 or 5 of these a day if I start at 9 and finish at 5, for example.
Yeah,
maybe even more. But just using the other tools, I like to use the tools, the Spin Rewriter, the Authority Indexer, for example. It just makes the life so much easier rather than doing it manually. So I just prefer to pay for it. Rather than pay a VA, for example, that might cost you $400 or $500 a month. You've got this for $300 a year. It's ridiculous.
Do you use like Google Sheets or something to keep track of your projects and your properties, and or a place where you store your links, or it's just off the top of your head?
Well, what I tend to do is, if I've got a brand new site going, I don't build any stacks. I don't build any links whatsoever to these new articles on these sites. And once the site is about 6 to 8 months old, then I will start building stacks, but only sort of fairly slowly. I want Google to. I don't want them to ban my site. Obviously, I want to make sure that it trusts the site. So it needs to be an aged site. Unless you buy an aged domain, which I don't tend to do, then that would make a difference as well. You can also leech off if you want to build sites. To find out, it depends what niche you're in, obviously, but if you're attacking one niche and you just don't know nowadays what articles, what key phrases are going to bring your traffic in. By the way, I don't trust any of the keyword tools when it comes to the volume that articles get. I have a coffee site. I saw this key phrase and the keyword tool said it had less than 10 searches per month. This one article is bringing in over 2,000 visits a month. So I do not trust the keyword tools whatsoever. I tend to target, which is no secret because other people have said this on, if you go into YouTube videos, I try to target key phrases where on the first page of Google there are forums, Quora and various other forums on the first page. And that's what I tend to do for my first 50 or 60 articles I put onto a website. And then I'll start then going for the best or top key phrase, those type of key phrases.
Yeah.
So if I build out a site, I do 50 articles, which I do it sort of fairly slowly. It might take me 6 months to start building that site out. I'll use the build articles with key phrases that have got forums on the first page of Google, and then start going for the harder keywords. And that's when I start building my Google Stacks and using the Google Cloud services that are available for pennies a month. I mean, I've been using Google Cloud and Azure, for example, over the last year, and I don't think I've paid more than $10 for both of them over a year.
Yeah, they're cheap.
They're very cheap. So pay for it. Get them done. It's really easy to build if you've got the software to do it. You can add WordPress sites, I understand, onto Google Cloud and Azure if you want to do. But I just use this software that creates sort of fairly plain looking HTML pages.
Yeah, HTML pages. They're good enough.
And it works. Good enough to get the links back, which is what we're looking for, obviously.
Yeah, you don't need a server and babysit WordPress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've avoided as much as I can.
Yes.
So on average, how many, so when you're building out a brand new site, and you mentioned you do around 50 articles to start with, on average, how many do you publish, like, for example, per month?
Well, I use these sites that provide writers for you. So I might do 8 to 10 articles a month for the first 2 or 3 months, and then sort of gradually build it up, not going mad. The trouble is these days, we've got all of this software that can write articles for you, the AI articles. Google is clamping down, I think, on sites that are producing, 300 or 400 articles in the first month. It just doesn't look natural. Naturally, you wouldn't do that. So the first couple of months, 5 to 8. After that, I might add 8, 10 articles a month and gradually build it up like that. I find that's the safest way to do it. And I haven't, in the updates that we've had recently from Google, the traffic that I was getting to my sites dropped very slightly when the update comes in, but very, very quickly afterwards it comes back to what it was before. I've got the coffee site that I have, that's got 100 articles on it now. I think 80% are all the low-hanging fruit, the ones with forums on the first page of Google. And I'm getting 20,000 visitors per month to that site now. So don't believe these keyword volumes. They're just absolute rubbish.
Yeah. I tend to not don't take it with a grain of salt.
Yes, exactly.
It's all about the testing that you're going to do. You can see sometimes there is an article, I don't know exactly where, maybe Search Engine Land or one of those popular SEO blogs, was about zero volume keywords. The article was about zero volume keywords and how there is a lot of traffic behind those keywords, or even though most of the tools out there tell you that there's no volume at all. No, that's not true.
Yeah. Well, you get thousands of different searches for the same theme of the article rather than the key phrase itself. So, as I said, the coffee one, it was showing less than 10, and it's getting over 2,000 visitors per month now to this one particular article. So I'm very pleased with it. And also on Google as well, people also ask questions on Google. I use them quite a lot, and that brings in a lot of traffic. So
true. I tend to go after those lately more often than I used to.
Yeah.
And they seem to be working really well. Like if you just write an article based off questions and answers, like a page with like a ton of questions and answers, and then give an answer to the question, they work extremely well.
Yeah. Yes, they do. That's what my coffee site is basically. That's what it is. Question and answers. And let's face it, people go on to Google to ask a question. If you can answer it, and all the questions and answers are obviously based around the same sort of theme, then it builds authority into the page, I think, and it works quite well. And if you use schema as well, which again does help.
Do you tend to use schema on all your properties, or just
Yes,
the top tiers?
I do. Yes. Oh, you mean on the example we're showing here?
Yeah, and the example. Sure.
I have to be honest with you, I haven't put schema in any of the Azure or Google Cloud sites, or in any of the stacks that I've built. I've only used schema on my money site.
On your money site, okay. So that's one thing I would probably do different from you, because Staxio allows me to add schema, and it's easy. So I probably when I building my Google stacks and the HTML files, if I already have schema on them, once we go from, for example, the first one on the left from tier 2 and embed the HTML on the Google Cloud, then it would already have the schema on it. So we would be a plus.
It would help. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I was struggling to find. I'm talking about the money site now, not the actual cloud sites, but I was struggling to find a plugin that that I didn't have to pay a license for. The thing is, I don't trust these plugins where you have to pay for a license yearly, for example. What if they go out of business? You know, you lose that plugin. So I wanted a plugin where I could add schema to every post and every page. So I had a developer build one for myself. So it cost me $500, but you know, it's worth it. And I add schema to all my pages and posts on my money site. I haven't tried it, as I said, on the cloud sites or in the stack. So I think I might try it now, see how it goes, see if it helps.
And is that a WordPress plugin?
Yes, it's a WordPress plugin that I had built by a developer.
Okay. All right. And just for well, in this case would be just for your money site, because it's WordPress. Yeah. Right. Oh, that sounds great. I will, if you're okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to take this example. I'm going to take this image and I'm going to make it more dynamic. I'm going to create the moving arrows and flowing. I'm going to make them flow and make an image. Well, do you have this? Do you think you could share this image with me?
Yeah, I'll send it through via email to you, and then you can.
Brilliant. Because this is amazing. I love it.
Well, it's just an adaptation to some of the guys that are already building out stacks that I've seen videos, in the members area. Some of the guys in there, I'm terrible with the names, but I watched a couple of videos, and people seem to be getting good results just using Staxio. So I thought, well, we know that Google Cloud and Azure, for example, and even S3 are also very powerful sites, IDA properties. And you hear so much about these so-called gurus out on the internet that you're promoting these type of sites. So I thought, well, let's start using them as well. So mix and match them up rather than it just being, Blogger and Google sites, for example. See what sort of difference it makes getting links from different IP addresses and different sites.
Brilliant. And another question that I just remembered to ask is, do you track the rankings with any particular tool, or you don't worry about that at all?
I've just started using, is it DIB? D-I-I-B, I think it is. I forget what you call it now.
Is the rank tracking tool?
It's a rank tracking tool, yeah. So it just shows you what the changes are in the keywords, if they go up or go down. I think it's dib.com, DIIB.com. There's a free version.
Yes. I think, let me see if I can quickly, I think it was DIB, wasn't it? Yeah, DIB.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
I think this one, right?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. Yeah, there is a free version, but it only shows you a small amount of the keywords. You connect up your Google Search Console, and it pulls the data in from there.
Cool. It's not a tool I've used before or tried even. Interesting.
I mean,
But
with all the links that you're generating using both your software and Authority Index, it is difficult sometimes to get the links indexed. I know that I've seen a few posts on Facebook or in the members area in the group. Authority Indexer, again, it gives you a way to get your links indexed through Google Search Console, through the API, and also the Google Webmaster tool. So I use the shortened URLs that Staxio creates and push them all through the Authority Indexer to get them indexed. I'm finding at the moment that the site that gets indexed much quicker than any of the other ones is Microsoft Azure for some reason. I'm having trouble getting the Blogger ones and the Google Sites index, but Azure is indexing very, very quickly. But using the API makes it a lot easier rather than having to go into Google Search Console and submit your URLs, for each of the stacks that you build, and also the Google Sites. So, yeah.
do you verify your bloggers or the Google Sites?
Yes.
You do? You verify them?
Yes,
Okay.
I put them into Google Search Console and verify them in there. Obviously, with Google Cloud and Azure and S3, you have to download the HTML file that they provide. But using Authority Indexer, you can just upload it to those sites, and Search Console can then pick it up and recognize it.
Right. Yeah, indexing is a bit. I was testing Omega Indexer a few weeks back, but with little success.
Yeah,
it seemed like it was. I had to contact support. I had to send them an email, like asking, "Hey guys, do you think you could help?" I haven't, because they're like saying, "Okay, well, your links will index in less than 3 days." We will index your links in less than 3 days.
Yeah,
that's what they advertise. So, but no, doesn't.
And that's another good thing about Authority Indexer as well, that it you can add in the URLs that you've already submitted through Authority Indexer, and it will check to see if they've been indexed. So it checks Google through the API. So again, that's another little tool that's built in that helps you try and see which of those has actually been indexed.
Brilliant. So about about this simpler version?
Yeah.
Is this something you start a project with and then move on to the other one, the more complete?
Well, what I tend to do is I tend to, as I said, I don't build any stacks on the Google Cloud pages on a site that's less than 6 months old. So I get the articles indexed. I see which articles or which key phrases on a particular page on my money site needs pushing a little bit. So I will look at any key phrases that are on page 2 of Google, for example. I will then build the Google Clouds and the stacks to try and push them onto page 1, which will also increase the amount of traffic that you're getting. So if an article, if it's not quite on page 1, that's when I will then start using Staxio and Authority Index to try and build these 4 tiers out to try and push it onto page 1. So that's what I'm doing now. I've got a new site that I built about 8 months ago. So I'm now looking at Google Search Console to see which articles are getting some traffic, and those key phrases that are on page 2, I try and push them onto page 1. while obviously still adding more articles to that site. So there's a method in doing it, and if you follow, I follow it this way. I just make it. You can build the traffic up much faster if you push those from page 2 and page 3 in the search results onto page 1.
Okay. And you build one of these for those like more stubborn articles or pages? You build one of these to try
it depends how competitive it is. I mean, sometimes even though you've got an article where there is a forum on the first page, sometimes for whatever reason just doesn't get onto the first page. 9 times out of 10 it does, but for those that don't, then I'll just use a couple of tiers, for example. So a Google site and a cloud stack, Google stack behind it, to try and push it up. I'd leave it then a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, to see if it changes in its position. If it doesn't, then I'll add a tier 3 and a tier 4 to it as well.
Yeah.
Just to try and nudge it over.
And this is to a particular article, right? A particular or page, right? On your money site.
Yes. So as I said, we've got all those 5 or 6 different sites we can build links from to our money site. It's per page on the money site. So you've got 6 there, for example, if we included the Twitter moments. So that is a page on the website, not just the top level of the domain. So I do it for every page on the website, only after looking at Google Search Console to see which one is getting the traffic, and if it would help to get more traffic if I pushed it onto page 1.
Do you build anything to the homepage of the site, or the homepage is like a generic page where
the homepage? Yeah, on my WordPress site, it's just the blog roll, so it's showing all the different articles on the first page. Yeah. So I don't tend to do when the site is a year, maybe 2 years old. I will then maybe start building stacks to individual pages. So adding Google Stacks as well as those Google Cloud sites, but only after the site has got some trust in Google, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, and once good, I understand. So that's one of the, I guess, mistakes, quote unquote. Sometimes people do is the page is not even indexed, is not even getting any traffic, and they're already building a ton of backlinks to that page. That doesn't not going to look natural.
No, it's not good. That no. They can tell that you're building, because it's not indexed. You can tell that they're building links to it. It's just not right. I try to keep it as natural as possible, which I presume you do as well, rather than throwing thousands of links at it when it's just being published. It's just not. It don't work.
Yeah. And in terms of the content, the articles that you have on your money site. Okay, let's talk about a little just about the money site now.
Yeah.
And do you create topical clusters, or do you just stick with one article, one page, and then try and do this and use the strategy?
Yeah, I mean, for example, going to my coffee site. I don't mind talking about my coffee site because there are a lot of coffee sites out there. If I'm trying to, if it's an affiliate site, for example, and I'm trying to sell coffee machines that can cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a coffee machine, an espresso machine, for example, then I will try and find questions on people also ask on Google on the first page, and build articles on questions which will then point at the review page of that particular coffee machine. So that's how I build my affiliate sites out, and that works quite well. So an article that's basically a list of questions and answers, which will then I'll do those in the first sort of 6 to 8 months, and then I'll start adding the review articles about a particular coffee machine, and then I'll go back into these articles, the question articles, and add links up to the coffee machine page, and then start building stacks to the question and answer articles which push power through to the review page. And that also works quite well as well.
So it sounds like you have a two-tier approach to your content, to your article content. You have the review, which is at the top, the review page.
Yes.
Which is the page where you probably have your affiliate links and you want the people to visit. But
Exactly.
and below that, you have the questions and answers.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, the question and answers do get a lot of traffic. So if you lay it out properly, you can push them up to the review site on that particular coffee machine as an example. And again, it also helps that coffee machine reviews page rank on Google as well, because you've got internal links coming into it as well. When the site is a year, maybe 2 years old, then I will probably start building cloud links like this 4-tier system to the actual review page itself.
Okay. So before that, you build this tiered approach to the questions and answer page. That's fine.
Yes.
But only after like 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, then you start building the structure to the tier above.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I understood, right?
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Makes sense.
I mean,
yeah.
I have 3 writers now that are writing for my different sites. So if they're doing, I mean, they don't work exclusive for me. You know, I just submit articles, and I might get 2, possibly 3 articles out of each of these people for the site. So they might only do 3 a week, 2 or 3 weeks, and maybe 8 a month, maximum 10. So it's just slowly building the content up on the site, which, as we've said, looks more natural rather than just throwing up 300 or 400 you can build with these AI article writer software.
So for the prime content, you know, the content that you want people to visit, the page that you want to rank, the content on that page, do you use tools like Surfer SEO or Neuron Writer, or do you use any sort of?
No, don't use them.
Like that?
Waste some money. Waste some money, I think.
Okay, waste the money. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real content from real people.
Right. Yeah.
Works better. And as we've said, people go on Google to search. They're asking questions. You know, the best this, or why does this do that? If you can answer that question, well, this is what I was told, and this is what I've done, and it works for me. So I'm not going to change what I'm doing now. There are a lot of people out there that push software, and I just don't like it. I use the people also ask, as I said, to build these question and answer articles, which you can get. I mean, there's some articles you can get, as I said, that show 0. You're getting 2,000 plus. I have one that's getting over 4,000 a month.
Wow.
And that was from a 0 with the keyword tools are telling me it was getting less than 10 searches a month. It's just ridiculous. But that is a question and answer article. So I suppose when you look at the different questions that are in there, I suppose you might get 10 or 15 different key phrases within that article. So that's building up the amount of sort of visitors you could get from those 10 or 15 questions. But if Google are putting them on the first page, they're saying to me, this is what people are asking about this particular subject that you've just searched for. So if I can answer those articles, those questions, you should say, then I'm going to get a lot of traffic. And I also add, I add schema to my money site because it's WordPress. Question and answer schema, which once Google starts picking that up, I think it attracts more traffic, because if you've just got a website where there's no schema, so it's just the title and they're pulling some content from your page, it's only a small block on the first page of Google. Whereas if you've answered 4 or 5 questions and you've added in the question and answer schema onto that particular post, then your block might be 3 or 4 inches of the page. Well, it stands out it stands out, and I get a lot of traffic from that. So, again, I'm not going to change something for me that's working.
That's working, exactly. How many of those questions do you typically have on a single page?
I tend to do between 1,200 and 1,500 words in an article. So I leave it up to my writers. I will give them a bunch of questions, and when they've done 1,500 words, 1,400 words, for example, they might have 2 or 3 questions less. So I might build another article out of the ones that they haven't done. So I just get them to build it that way. Again, I'm finding that Google likes pages where it's got between 12 and 1,500 articles, because they are to the point. Question, answer, question, answer. And again, on the post, I use a plugin table of contents, so it's got jump links. So it creates a list of, at the top of the page, which will jump down to the answer. And I'm finding that Google is listing those below my listing on the SERPs. So you'll have your title, you'll have content that Google's pulled in, and then below that you'll have more hyperlinks that are linking directly to a question that might be halfway down the page. So again, that makes your page stand out.
Do you also, I was about to ask you about like what sort of structure do you have with the article? Would you have a table of contents? You already answered that. Do you also create like a video to have on the page, or not at all?
No, I don't. I mean, on the cloud page that I'm building, I'm starting to add YouTube videos, because Authority Indexer will allow you to use spun content. I will add in to the text file that it uses to pull the spun content from. I will add in images, I will add in videos that spin them. So I put 4 or 5 videos into that one page, and then Authority Index will pick, obviously we're using the spun content, one of those videos. So I find most of the time that the sort of 4 pages that gets built, I've got different videos on there, I've got different images, and also if you put any hyperlinks on there, then you can spin the hyperlinks. So they're all different when they're built. But that's the good thing about using spun content, I find.
Yeah. And so when you have, so let's imagine that we have a ton of questions that you want to target for on a particular topic. So you get to your 12,000 to 15,000 words, right? You said
100. 12 to 1,500 words, yes.
12 to 1,500 words. So once you get to that level, then you create another article. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got, for example, 20 questions that are based around this, let's say I'm building an article about espresso coffee beans. I might find 10, 20, 30 questions about espresso coffee beans. So I will look at all those questions and put them into a section that I might try and build 3 articles out of those 20, 30 questions, and try and put them into sections where the questions are fairly similar, if you understand what I mean. And create one article out of that. And then if there's any left over, then I will create another article. And if there's any left over, I'll create another one. It depends how many the writer, when they're writing the answers, obviously it depends how much content they build for each question. So you might get 2, 3 articles out of 20 to 30 questions. And then, as I said, they're based around one particular subject. So again, go back to the espresso. If the question's about an espresso machine, and you've got 30 questions, then you might be able to build 1,000 to 1,200 article you just using 10 questions, and then just build another one, which again, you can link them all together when you add them to your blog. And then once they've been on the site for a while, they've been indexed, they start to bring traffic in, then I might then go and build a question, an article or a review page about a particular espresso machine, that these questions are being answered about.
Right. Yeah. So your approach is, yeah, usually, so what I typically see people do, and I do it myself, is I go from top to bottom. I build my top page, the page that I want to rank for. That's what I do. That's what I build first. And then I go to questions and answers.
Yeah.
And then I build additional pages, but I start from the top.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm doing it different. I'm doing it from the bottom upwards.
Exactly. You're doing the opposite.
Yeah. Well, that's because I'm building I like to build new sites. So as I said, from the coffee one, that is about 18 months old now. So the first 50, 60 articles were all question and answer articles. But all those questions were all, when I searched for that question on Google, 9 times out of 10, there was a forum on the first page. So I knew that question was 9 times out of 10, I was going to get into the first page with it. And I'm trying to build some trust up with Google. I'm not trying to go for the heavy hitter keywords, like best espresso machine, for example. I'm never going to rank for that on a brand new site. I want Google to trust me, first of all, by getting some traffic to the site from these low hanging fruit keywords. I want to start to get traffic in. Then if it's built around a particular coffee machine, for example, then I know the type of volume I'm getting for those questions. So I know whether it's worth building a review page for that particular coffee machine, which 9 times out of 10, when you're talking about products, there is enough searches. But then you can funnel them from those articles up to your coffee machine site. And then eventually the links that you're building from these question and answer pages will help that review page rank anyway. And because you built trust up with the Google, when you add a top level keyword in there, a difficult keyword, it trusts you because you've already given the question and answer articles, you've already got traffic coming through, and people are reading and staying on your page for 4 or 5 minutes reading your articles and not going to another page to try and find the same answer because it's already been answered on your web page, which is what you want.
Right. And when you add that top level page, like it will rank so much faster and easier because you already have the supporting pages, which are already getting a lot of traffic.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
But I feel it's the trust that Google gives you first of all, by not trying to go for the top level keywords straight away.
But
best SEO software. You're never going to rank for that. Whereas if you build a website and you've got 300 or 400 supporting articles, when you add an article like that, Google looks at it and think, we trust him because he's put all these articles on. It's getting a lot of traffic. People are staying on the page for a long time, so they trust you more, and it tends to help the page rank.
Yeah, and that's the difference. That's the difference between starting a brand new site with a domain without any metrics, or buying an already existing domain with some metrics already behind it. That's the difference. It makes a difference in the strategy that you should be using.
Yes,
it makes a big difference. And because you are building brand new domains, you have your own strategy and way of doing that, and that's awesome. That's great. I think it works really well in your case. Yeah,
SEO is very simple once you've got a method, but it's just very time consuming. And this is where software like Staxio and Authority Indexer and the Spinner software, etc., it's worth buying. It's worth subscribing to software like yours. It's worth paying, which I haven't found one anywhere near the Authority Indexer price. That's just a yearly price, less than $100 a year. It just saves so much time and it makes you more productive, which if you're trying to build a site to make some money, you need to be productive unless you're hiring VAs to do it, which can turn out expensive.
Yep.
What I mean is, if you're trying to do it yourself, it's cheaper and quicker to pay for software.
Yeah, than doing everything manually.
Than trying to do it manually or hiring a VA, which turns out more expensive. You've got to train them. You've got to get them to do the way you want it. Whereas with software, you do it and it's a lot easier.
When you're building out the stacks, we're talking about a little bit about stacks here. When you're building out the stacks, do you follow the SOP, or you just build them out without needing to use anything, just off of the interface of the software?
Right.
Or do
I've
you-
got my method. It's very similar to the SOP. So I'll build the stack out first of all. Then I only have one keyword for the initial stack. I don't add any additional keywords in. And then
Okay.
I will build out the PDF and the Microsoft files. Then I will add more articles. Excuse me, but I forget which section it's in, what it's
more
called.
keywords, the keyword builder, I think.
Keyword builder. So I'll add in a spun article in there and add in maybe 4 or 5 keywords. So, for example, I have a motorcycle website. So if I'm writing an article about a motorcycle helmet, then you've got the helmet itself, which will be the initial keyword. So it might be XYZ motorcycle helmet review. So that will be the initial silo. And then when I'm building the additional documents, for example, then I will add in 4 or 5 keywords. So it might be XYZ helmet visor, XYZ helmet sun visor. So I'll add different supporting articles into the stack. I will then build the HTML file, and then I will then silo them all into one silo. So, for example, looking at tier 1 here, we've got 6 sites there that I can build 6 stacks and put them into one silo.
So the tier 2 stacks you build, you put them all into one silo.
Correct.
Okay.
So if the keyword I'm targeting is XYZ motorcycle helmet, all of the tier 1 are all pointing to one page, one review page on my money site. So I will build 5 Google stacks showing on tier 2 here, all exactly the same keyword. So the keyword will be XYZ helmet, and then it might be GS for Google Sites as the actual key phrase, the name of all the files. And then the next one might be XYZ helmet GC, Google Cloud. Then the next one will be Azure, the next one will be S3. So they're all exactly the same keyword, because that's the target I'm trying to hit, that particular keyword. And once I've built out the HTML file, I'll pop them all into a silo and then put them into the Google Drive, obviously. I try to mirror my website with all of the tier 1, for example, and the Google Drive to my money site. I create one blog, one S3 site, one Azure, one Google Cloud, one Google Sites, and it mirrors the structure of my main money site. And I do exactly the same with the Google Stacks on tier 2.
Okay. I think and do you also do the same on tier 4? Do you also create a silo for the stacks you create on tier 4?
Yes. So because I'm using because the pages I'm targeting are 8 months to a year old, I know what search terms people are searching for. So the tier 1 will be the exact match, the top tier keyword I'm looking for. So ABC helmet review. Then if I go into my search console, then, as was said, people search for they might search for a helmet, for example, in different ways. So I'll look at the key phrases to get the second most impressions on Google, and I'll use that for my tier 3 to name the sites on my tier 3, and also for the tier 4 stacks. So slightly different key phrase, but for the same thing, the same helmet.
So this, you said the second most searched keyword?
Yeah. So if we've got a Bell helmet, for example, so if it's called ABC Bell helmet review, so that will be the top keyword I'm trying to target. So that will be the tier 1. All those sites will be called, a page on those cloud sites and in Google sites and Blogger, etc., will be named XYZ Bell helmet review, which will match up to the review article on my money site. So if I've got a money site and I'm building just around motorcycle helmets, I'll have a silo on a particular brand of motorcycle helmets, and I'll have another silo on another brand. Well, I will mirror that when I'm building my tier 1 sites.
So the tier 1 sites,
they're
targeting the same keyword you have on the money site page.
Yes. So if it's a Shoei motorcycle helmet and it's a particular model, I'll do a review page on my money site, and on my Google site, I'll do a review page, but it's in the same structure. So I'll have a page on. Let's look at Google sites, and all the rest are all the same. So we can create a top level page called Shoei on Google sites. So that's the top level keyword. And then I can put all the different types of Shoei helmets into that silo on Google sites. So then it'd be additional page will be Shoei 1, Shoei 2, additional pages. Yeah. Then I'll have another top level page on Google sites for AGV helmets. And then I'll have all the different AGV helmets as an additional page below that page on Google sites. So they are mirroring the money site structure. So I'll do that for all the tier 1, and they all match up the exact same key phrase.
And do you also have the same structure on your Google Cloud and then Azure and then S3?
Yeah, I try to do, but using the authority indexer, I can't do it because it doesn't actually do. It's not like a blog; it's just individual pages. I do it with Blogger and Google Sites. I can do them manually, but with the Google Cloud, and the Azure, and the S3, I can't.
Right, because it sounded like it could be a lot of work if you wanted to do that, to create an HTML site.
Yeah, it can be. It can be.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, and then so let me go back to the initial question I had, which was on tier 3. So which keyword are you targeting on tier 3? Is it this like a keyword that is a supporting keyword for
no
one on tier 1?
No, it isn't. No, I'm targeting. Let's go back to the coffee machine, for example.
Oh, because it's an embed.
Yes.
The tier 3 are the embeds. Sorry. Okay. Yes.
No. Honestly, so I'm having to. Well, okay. Let's start again. So tier 1 and tier 3. Let's forget about the Google Cloud sites at the moment. The Staxio builds. We're building pages on Google Cloud on tier 1 and on tier 3. If you look at this example here, there's Google Cloud on tier 3 and there's Google Cloud on tier 1. The tier 1 will be an exact match name of the page to match up with my money site. So if it's a Shoei helmet, I will go into my Google Search Console, look at my Shoei helmet page. So it's Shoei 1 helmet. Then people search for that Shoei helmet in different ways. So it might be Shoei helmet 1 review as the one that's getting the most searches on that particular page on my money site. So I will use that for tier 1. For tier 3, I will look at the same page and find the second most search term in Google Search Console for that particular helmet. So instead of it being Shoei helmet 1 review, it might be review of Shoei helmet 1. So that will be the tier 3 key phrase I'm targeting. It's the same helmet, but just search for it in a different way on Google. And using Google Search Console, I can see which is the one that's getting the most searches and the one that's getting the second most searches for that particular helmet on that particular page.
Got it. Understood.
So it's the same helmet, just slight different key phrase.
Yeah, just a slight variation.
Yeah.
Understood.
So on tier 1 and tier 2, so the Google Cloud sites and the Google Stacks, that'll be the main keyword. And tier 3 and tier 4, it'll be the secondary keyword, the one that gets the second most searches for that particular helmet in this example.
That's the so the fact that you are building your Google Stacks with just one keyword, and then using the keyword builder to add additional keywords, which we talked about
Yes.
on our previous conversation, is a strategy that I've been using for a long time now. And I've mentioned this on previous videos that we have on our training platform. But that's brilliant. It's really good. I just built like a skeleton. It's the start. It's like my base. My base is just one keyword on my Google Stack, and then I add the additional keywords. If I want to have individual articles for each keyword, then I can do that with the keyword builder. If I want to use spin tags, which seems to be what you're doing, Keith, you can do that too with the keyword builder, and then have built 5 or 10 additional keywords. David Morgan, I think he's also using this strategy as well.
Yes, that was the guy. That was the video I was watching. Exactly. I just couldn't remember his name. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. David is also using this strategy.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend people doing that.
The additional keywords, if you are pointing these stacks at a question and answer page, those additional keywords could be just questions.
Oh, the question. Yeah, makes sense. Just the question phrase. So it's like a phrase. The phrase is a keyword.
Yeah, exactly. And a question is, if it's based around a particular helmet or a particular coffee machine, for example, as I said, we've already built out those question and answer pages. So I'm spinning those question and answer pages and using them for all 4 tiers. So you build the main key phrase is the initial skeleton, as we said, for Staxio, and then the additional when you're building out the other documents, you can just put in a spun article and add 4 or 5 questions in there, and it will then spin that article, which have already got the questions and answers in that article. It'll spin them and post them out, create documents, slides, etc. And then I use exactly the same one on tier 3 for all the cloud, Azure, S3, and Blogger.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. It would be great if we could, if you have availability and later maybe, is if we could take one example, because I can visualize off the top of my head while we're talking, I can visualize what's going on.
Yeah.
But if we had like an example of questions and answers, maybe I can try and do that and send it to you, and then you tell me, oh, this is wrong, and then we'll change it a little bit. But have a sort of like a picture like this, but instead of having the symbols, we would have like a keyword and then questions and answers, and then how they flow, like on tier 1 and then tier 3. That would be interesting to like have a visual.
I could do a video. It might take a little time. It might be a long video, or I could split it in. I could split it into 2 or 3 videos, which will make it easier for people to understand. Yeah, I can do that. It's no problem at all.
Well, that would be even better. But I would deeply appreciate it if you did.
Yeah.
it.
No problem at all.
Yeah, but I think you obviously you can do this like with your eyes closed, but I was also able to understand, I think, most of what you explained. But I think for other people that are be watching this video are going to be like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
I mean, basically, it's just using the same content, and it's building out more sites than Staxio uses. Because as we know, we've got Google Sites and Blogger. We're adding in the Google Cloud, the Azure, the S3, and Twitter, which just pumps authority from tier 4 to tier 3 to tier 2 to tier 1 to your money site. And it's just a method. And once you've got that method in your head, it's not difficult to do. I'll create a video. I'll do one stack. So I'll do 4 tiers just using one site as an example. So for example, I'll do a Blogger. I'll add a stack. I'll do an Azure, and then add another stack and show people in the video how I build it and where I put the embeds, etc., and do it in stages. I think that's the best way to do it.
That would be brilliant, Keith. That would be brilliant.
Yeah.
If you could, that would be awesome.
Yeah, no problem at all.
I appreciate it if you could.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind. I've got plenty of time.
after you're off the gym, then you can have something to do.
It's not as if I haven't got a lot to do anyway, but there you go.